Let's turn to the collapse of Yellow.
It's the biggest collapse ever in the U.S. trucking industry.
It's affecting 30,000 workers.
Digital freight broker Convoy has broken down,
Leaving taxpayers in the hole for hundreds of millions of dollars.
Hey there, everyone. We want to welcome you guys to the Truckers Lounge and thanking you guys for being here with another session with us. How you doing today, Priest?
Hey, what's up, Gene? I see the FMCSA is at it again.
Yeah, but we got us another good topic. They just had a ruling that they just passed here on November the 15th. Kind of want to go over some of these articles and some of these points that came across our desk. Let's see. The FMCSA basically said that they announced on November the 15th that they're targeting financial responsibility requirements for brokers and property and freight forwarders. Now, the key changes include provisions related to immediate suspension, financial failure and insolvency, and enforcement authority set to take effect January 2024, which is right around the corner. Now, brokers, surety providers, and financial institutions must comply with these new regulations to enhance integrity in the industry. Now, they're pretty much focusing on five key areas, 5 key points that they're pretty much targeting for the broker operations. Now, the first one is called assets readily available, and that's basically saying that you're having cash on hand or line of credit. Now, the article that the FMCSA basically defined, the way they go into it, they said the final rule sets out a list of the acceptable asset types a BMC 85 trust may contain. FMCSA has determined that these asset types are readily available because they are stable in value and can be easily liquidated within 7 calendar days of an event that triggers a payment from a trust. Now, what is it? The having cash on hand and readily available. They're basically talking about cash that's on hand, available cash, lines of credit through ILCs, which is basically broken down to irrevocable lines of credit through a financial institution. Now, the minimum requirement for those brokers is 75,000. But also, most people don't realize that there are 2 forms of brokerages that they can sign up for. That's the BMC 85 and the BMC 84, which
You mean the 2 forms of bonding that a broker can get?
Correct. Yeah, 2 forms. So and now the way they define it, you got the BMC 85, which is a trust fund. Right. And then the BMC 84, which is a surety bond.
Right.
Now, most people don't know the difference between the 2. Right. Most of your smaller carriers have the BMC 84, which is not mentioned nowhere in this article. They're only focusing on the BMC 85. The BMC 85 is required that you have cash on hand to set up this that trust fund, and the only people that really have those are larger carriers who have that amount of cash on hand that don't have an issue with tying up money or credit. The BMC 84 is, they basically run your credit, you get approved, and you pay a premium for the year. That's it.
Which does put a lot of mega or giant or corporate brokerages in position to where they really don't have to have a BMC 85 either.
Exactly.
But with this new ruling coming in effect, if that was going to be an option, they would be more in position to do a BMC 85, being that, that's going to put your assets involved, your cash on hand involved. Most smaller brokerages wouldn't be able to do that. But for the most part, most of all the brokers out there are running off of a BMC 84. Surety bond, which just only you just have to have a certain line of credit to be approved for a surety bond for a year.
And so that brings into question, why are they only focusing on the BMC 85? as opposed to the BMC 84, which is, I feel, what most carriers, brokerage carriers, are operating under, the BMC 84.
Well, the FMCSA, they've been getting so many complaints, so they have to find the easiest thing to really just throw at the industry to look as if they doing work. I mean, me personally, from what I read over it, I really don't see on the face of it how it's going to be beneficial to anybody other than corporate companies.
That's true.
I don't see how it's going to benefit the drivers other than if you're dealing with a broker who's running the BMC 85, then you may benefit from it if something bad happens or something negligent happens. But then you also have another hurdle to cross. What are the guidelines are the trust holders or the surety bonding companies going by?
That's the thing.
To honor the claim.
That is the thing. Now they do address some of those things. Now, one of the things that in the next set of requirements that the FMCSA passed was the immediate suspension of authority. And so pretty much what are the factors that decides an immediate suspension? So the way they define it is when a broker or freight forwarder's available financial security falls below 75,000, the FMCSA may suspend its operating authority registration. So FMCSA said this process would be triggered when there is a drawdown on the broker or freight forwarder surety bond or trust fund, basically meaning that if there's a claim that's filed, and once you file that claim, that drops your that broker or freight forwarder's money below the 75,000. Once it drops below that threshold and is not replaced, they have the ability to suspend their authority.
Right. Yeah. It runs almost kind of like a prepaid credit under the BMC 85. You have to just keep the funds replenished, in the account, so to speak, which that would put a lot of brokerages out of business anyway, which I'm pretty sure a lot of truckers think they want that. But that's only going to be effective under the BMC 85. Now. Right. Yeah. Now, under the BMC 84, the surety bonding company, if a broker has too many claims, they're going to suspend their bonding anyway, to pretty much escape from paying so many claims. But for the most part, under BMC 84 that I know personally, the surety bonding companies fight tooth and nail to keep from paying anything.
Exactly.
They because see, they have like guidelines that, well, we don't cover agriculture, so we can't honor a claim because you were hauling agriculture. Well, the question should be to the surety bonding companies, why are you not regulating what the brokers are, what loads the brokers are brokering?
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of those surety companies, once the carrier files a claim, in good faith, they're supposed to go out and investigate that claim.
But they say they do.
They're supposed to investigate that claim, but I'm sure a lot of them don't, and because at the end of the day, their customer is the broker.
Well, the question is the FMCSA going to regulate if they're doing it in good faith? You know what I'm saying? Well, that's the thing. That's all.
I guess that brings us to our next point from the requirement from the FMCSA. They're trying to put pressure on the surety bond holders and the surety providers. So this is what they said. They said that the freight forwarder and financial failure or insolvency, the rule requires that if the surety or trustee becomes aware that a broker or freight forwarder is experiencing financial failure or insolvency, it must notify FMCSA and initiate cancellation of the financial responsibility. So they leaving it to the trustee to call them and let them know that a broker is basically in default. And they say, however, if the broker or freight forwarder subsequently cures the default and the surety company or financial institution reinstates the bond or trust, or the broker or freight forwarder obtains a new bond or trust, FMCSA will lift the suspension notice and update the FMCSA register, the agency said.
Well, that's something that the surety bonds should have been doing anyway. Just through my experience, I won't call no name or any company, but just through my experience speaking with surety bonding companies to file claims against brokers, you would get back, well, we haven't heard back from the broker yet, and I check back a month later, well, we still haven't heard back from the broker. So it's like
so they
they
ain't tried.
Right. So it's almost like, how many days are you giving them to response before you take action? But then on the other hand, you think about it, if the broker is on a BMC 84, okay, under 75,000, they may pay 3% of the 75,000 if they got good credit to start.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not making any monthly payments on a surety bond. So you can also understand why a bonding company will say, well, we have guidelines to just basically keep us from paying you. We just, we can't pay you. The broker only paid 3% on the 75,000. We're not going to put the work in to go after them and sue them. So what we're going to do, we just going to default on their bond, and you as the carrier are going to have to go after the broker in the lawsuit. Well, that's not the same thing as like cargo and liability insurance. You know what I mean? Because a broker can just pretty much just default, and you have to chase him in a lawsuit to get paid because the surety bonding company doesn't seem to be liable.
Yeah.
So,
and they're not doing what's required to go after them. But in this new ruling, they are talking about canceling or suspending the services of that trustee. So basically, the ruling number 4, the enforcement of authority calls for suspension of a surety or trust fund provider's authority in certain circumstances. The agency will first provide notice of the suspension of the surety trust fund provider, followed by 30 calendar days for the surety or trust fund provider to respond before a final agency decision is issued. So basically, if that provider isn't doing what they're supposed to be doing, enforcing things, then FMCSA has the power to suspend them.
They should have already had that power.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because any insurance company, and you may correct me on this, any company that insures a company in the logistics or trucking industry is regulated under the FMCSA, right?
Yeah.
So
they have to go through them for everything.
So the FMCSA should have already had that power. So so if that's the case, why are you lying to the public? I'm calling the FMCSA out for real. I mean, why are you lying to the public? You got so much more work that you could be doing, but you choose to find things like this to really put in the media that, hey, we're doing our work. Man, you got so many things that had happened in the industry. I'm not going to mention in this conversation. We'll say that for another one. But you got so many things that had happened in the trucking industry that they could have been stepped in. They just won't. Anytime the job gets hard, they won't step in. They just rather put out some BS lip service.
Right. Basically something to kind of satisfy us to hopefully we'll be quiet for a while. So in their final ruling requirement, basically talking about those entities, they said entities eligible to provide trust funds for BMC 85 filings. They're talking about BMC 85 again, as opposed to BMC 84, which is what most brokerages are under, BMC 84. So that's not a reason for a whole lot of truck drivers to get so excited. And
I don't remember seeing a lot of BMC 85s when I would get the broker's information, when we swap out our carrier package.
Right. So this doesn't affect a lot of brokerages. This is the brokerages under the BMC 85, which it says FMCSA removes loan and finance companies from the list of providers eligible to serve as BMC 85 trustees, because this type of institution is not subject to the rigorous federal regulations applicable to chartered depository institutions or to the state regulations. Basically, they saying that all of the companies who don't answer to the federal government, their money isn't like FDIC approved, is
Right.
not backed by the federal government, then basically they're removing them from their list of filings to be trustees.
Right.
So why would they have them on the list in the first place? Was what I'm wondering.
Tell me, why would they have them on the reject list?
Well, why would they have them? Why were they ever eligible to hand out bonds, to be a trustee?
Because the FMCSA makes it easy for anybody to enter the industry.
There we go.
But just to bag of what you were saying, to kind of disagree, but not fully, when you said this wouldn't affect the brokers when we was talking about the regulation.
Okay.
Actually, in my opinion, I think it will affect a lot of brokers. And what I'm about to say, any brokers out there that's small, hear me and hear me well.
Yeah.
This is a purge going on in the industry. You got just as many brokerage firms as you do carriers. And what this is going to do, brokers are going to find out now that surety bonding companies, even under BMC 84, are going to be easily suspending your surety bond just to push you to the BMC 85 if you choose to stay in business. That's what I think is about to start happening. You're going to start seeing a lot of brokerages go out of business because claims are going to be filed and the bonding companies are going to default on them. So what's going to happen, I think that layer of protection that the bonding companies were giving the brokerages when it came to investigating the claim, that's going to go away. That's going to go away. That's what I think.
That's a pretty good idea. We'll see how it unfolds.
Yeah, I just think it's just a setup, you know what I'm saying, to get smaller companies out the way, but that's my perspective,
What we talk about off air a lot of times, big bank take a little bank.
Big bank take little bank, man, and they eating right now.
Good.
Yeah, they eating good. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, they eating so good, they eating some of their own.
Yeah. But they're gonna make sure that what happened recently over the pandemic, it's gonna be a long time before that happens again.
Yes, sir.
So some of the industry responses from some of the organizations that's for like the trucking organizations, what the vice president of the TIA Association, he said he commended the agency for addressing a long-standing issue and notes the impact on preventing fraudulent activities. Now, OIDA said, we're still reviewing the rule, suggesting that more can be done. Because, OIDA is really, tries to be on the side of owner operators. Yeah. The American Trucking Association, which is pretty much, they represent all of the mega carriers. They said they're delighted that the rules role in protecting motor carriers and consumers was carried out. So they're usually always on the side of the FMCSA when it comes to different rules and things that they make. Now, what I wanted to say was give some ways that some carriers can protect themselves with what's going on. Now,
take your time.
Okay.
Take your time when you're picking your loads. I know chasing loads on the load boards, for the ones who are still on the load boards, it could be a bit of a rat race. Even the guys who are getting these short contracts where they call and tell you, hey, we got 20 loads and you do 10 and you still hadn't got paid anything, even though you've been sending the paperwork. That could also, be a trap too if you don't do your due diligence on checking their background and checking who they are. What I would suggest, if they rushing you to get the load or to get the contract, take it. That way you holding it. But before you start performing it, do your due diligence, your background, believe what your factoring company tells you.
Exactly.
Believe what they tell you. Make the factoring company do their job. Tell the first person who answered the phone, I don't want to talk to you because I know you're going to be reading index card. Get me my account manager. Give me my account manager. And I'm talking about the factoring company here.
Exactly.
When you call the factoring company, get me my account manager. And most likely, if you don't have a good account manager, you're going to be asking questions that to them seem dumb only because you're not in the finance industry. They are. It's their job to simplify to you that they know what you're saying and to be able to break it down to you so you can get to the business of understanding what's going on with your money. Because what they'll do, if it's not a trusted brokerage, they hold your money. So now you got the brokerage playing games saying they want you to do the whole 20 loads before they can pay you. By the time the factory come to get the information, the brokerage then got away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So now the factoring company looking at you to pay that money back to them that they paid you.
Right.
So take your time. Take the loads, but continue to take your time in researching them before you actually start performing these loads. That's the best advice I can give you.
That's one of the biggest things. One of the things I want to add to that was if you're like consider using one of the ways you can probably cut down on some of the fraud and protecting yourselves is if you consider using load boards like broker load boards as opposed to the general load boards where everybody is posting on those load boards. Not to say nothing won't happen on, a load board for some of these other carriers, but on the general load boards where everyone is posting to, everybody has access to, you want to be careful and do your due diligence when making sure you check the insurance. If the load is set to leave, pick up in the next 30 minutes, don't just go out and pick the load. Call and check that company's insurance.
Now elaborate for me more on when you say the broker load board. Now, what was you referring to?
Well, you have companies who have their own load boards. XPO has their own load board.
Okay.
Landstar has
using their load board.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Landstar has their own load board because XPO has their own load board, but a company named DCI Trans can't just go and post loads on XPO's load board. DCI Trans has to go to DAT or whatever load board 1, 2, 3. So consider using broker owned load boards, from those broker carriers. You can help cut down on some of your fraud. That don't mean the loads won't be cheap, but at least that's one step in helping to cut down on the fraud. And just making sure that you're doing your due diligence, make sure that broker has everything in line. If you're pulling a load for a carrier, make sure you check everything to make sure that everything is in place for you so that you can get paid. Because at the end of the day, we're in this business to make money, right?
Yeah, and actually, I think really all brokers should build their own load board. Because at the end of the day, like you said, you still need to do your due diligence. You still need to check with the FMCSA. Once you get an MC number, you should be able to check out anything about that broker. What you want to do when you go to Safer Well, whatever number that broker or carrier has listed on FMCSA, call that number. Call that number. Don't call no broker cell phone until you call and verify that broker works with that company. Don't do business until you do that type of research. I mean, it's quick research. I know a lot of us are behind the wheel, but you got to do your research because just as you being in a hurry, don't make no sense being in a hurry if 2 months later you got to give that money back.
Right. Might as well have a tab open just for Safer's website. So you can put in that broker's DOT or MC number to verify that they are active.
Right.
or not and not authorized.
Exactly.
You want to check and verify that.
Exactly. You can run your business from a driver's seat. I did it for 2 years straight. Right. You can run your business from a driver's seat. You just need first of all, I have a laptop. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Something with a bigger screen. Yeah, that you can see everything. Yeah, man.
Yeah, because most guys are in a hurry. Everything is in the palm of their hand with a cell phone.
Everything in the palm of their hand, man.
Don't realize it, Right.
So. Yeah. You use your laptop when you can find a parking spot.
Right.
That's another story too.
We'll say that for the next one. Right?
That's another story too.
Yeah, teach everybody about electronics and devices and being organized. That'd be a good topic. How to be organized, because being organized will probably help you to combat, fraud. you know,
Exactly.
because you won't be in a hurry, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so anything else you got left to add?
No, man. That was pretty much I had on the topics that you had lined up.
Okay, well, shoot, I just want to get ready to conclude and basically wrap things up. And you know, you guys, thank you guys for tuning in with us. You know, it's pretty much all we had to talk about the FMCSA and everything that they were talking about, targeting fraudulent brokerages and operations. Now, we guys that you guys stay tuned for more updates with us dealing with the industry as we bring you guys more news and more articles as everything else progresses on this story and other stories to come. We asking you guys to please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you guys for just being with the Truckers Lounge.